Hey everyone, and welcome to another live session of the Type Convo podcast. I am super excited about this one today. First of all, I hope you had some great holidays. I hope you could rested so well. And yeah, let's start the new year with one of the most creative designers I've met. He's a Toronto-based illustrator, and we have been talking for quite some time now, and he inspires so many people on Instagram and through his work. He worked with Adobe, Nike, Red Bull, so a lot of clients, and he's also really popular on Instagram for his positivity and talking about mental health issues. So today I will be joined by Adam Bosley, and you probably know him as Adam the Illustrator. Recently I was going through his post on Instagram, and he was in one of the posts there was a comment, yeah, his surname is not the Illustrator, I cannot believe this. So yeah, everyone knows him by Adam the Illustrator, and I'm really happy that he's with me today. So I'm going to send him an invitation, and let's see if Instagram will give us some good today. Okay. Hi, nice to have you finally here. And as I said, trying to present you, I'm really glad that you joined me today, and it's super cool. A Toronto-based designer, you work with so many popular brands. You started with graphic design quite a long time ago, but you didn't actually started studying graphic design right away. So can you tell me about it and just introduce yourself a bit better than I did, maybe?
For sure. Yeah. I'm Adam. I go by Adam the Illustrator online. I went to school on a track and field scholarship at a small school in Nebraska called Doane College. And from there, that's kind of where I got into graphic design. I didn't take any design before that, but I started in the education field. Didn't really love the way the program was running, and I don't know, it just didn't really spark me anyway. So I heard about graphic design through one of my teachers, and that's kind of how I got into design. And I didn't take any design before that. I was not good at what I was doing. But it was just something that I enjoyed doing, and something that I could see myself actually putting a lot of attention and focus into. So that's why I went into design and continued on that path.
Oh, that's great. There's been, I had a couple of these interviews before, and somehow, even for me, it was the same, and started with one education and then transitioned to, graphic design, branding, and type design in my case. So it's really interesting to see people from different backgrounds, different ideas when we were younger, and actually going for something that we love. So that's really amazing.
For sure.
Yeah. What influenced you the most to actually start with graphic design?
I guess just going back to the start, one of my teachers actually just told me about graphic design. I actually had no idea what it was. So when I was in university, I had to look it up, and it was just something that seemed fun and something that I could possibly get good at, and actually want to get good at. So I decided to take that leap. And then, it took a long time to actually get into the design field myself. I graduated university in 2011, and I actually didn't get my first full-time design gig until 2019. And that only lasted for a year. We got laid off right before COVID. And then that's kind of where things got into more illustrating and actually chasing what you're seeing currently on my page of motivational posts and stuff like that. That's kind of 2020 was kind of the starting point for all that to kind of take place.
Okay, well, I mean, it's really good to see that pandemic and COVID and everything actually made some good things as well. You know, it was a really bad situation all over the world, here in Spain as well. We were one of the countries that was hit the most by it, and we had such a strong lockdown. And yeah, I can relate to that part of actually starting to work on new things. So yeah, that's really good. You talked about transitioning education. Do you believe that formal education is more important in graphic design, or or you could just learn stuff on your own and go by that?
I think you can, honestly, I think you can learn stuff on your own. Like I know a ton of people that during the pandemic picked up some stuff and are doing pretty well for themselves. But as much as you can learn stuff on your own, I do believe that, um, design and art is learned. Like if you actually put in that work, you can get to where you want to be, which I think is a great thing. Um, but is school necessary? I don't want to say, I mean, that's a tough question because, you build connections at school, whereas like if you're just sitting at home and you're just kind of working on your computer and not going out and meeting people, then that might kind of hold you back. So I think going to school, I know it's expensive and stuff like that, but I do believe there is some benefits to going to school versus not going to school. But that being said, you can definitely learn a ton on YouTube and you can learn a ton on Instagram. And I still learn a ton on YouTube and Instagram. And, every day I'm trying to learn new tools and tips to just kind of speed up my process. But I think school is a good starting point.
Okay, great. Yeah, I mean, you've been like sharing on Instagram so much of the cool tips, like for the Illustrator, and so many of those I've like never heard about them. And I'm sure there's a lot of other people, like when you actually go into Illustrator really deep, there's so many good tools that people can actually use. So I believe that's one of the greatest things that people do nowadays, like sharing the knowledge and not
For
just
sure.
keeping it for themselves. So that's really great. What would you say that is there a role of Toronto that played maybe about your education, and how did it influence your work that you're showing right now?
Toronto. So I actually didn't go to school in Toronto. In university, I went to school in the US on track and field scholarships. So I went to a small school in Illinois for a year, and then my
Oh,
3 years in Nebraska on a track and field scholarship. Um, but how does Toronto influence my work? Um, I'm not sure if it really does. Like, I don't know if a city really does, but I think just like taking in things that are happening in real life, and during the pandemic is kind of when my voice changed from developed. I would say not even changed, but there was a post that I made, and I talked about this at Adobe Create Now, and it was how to make it in 2020. And it was a post that I was gonna make, and it was gonna be like super cheeky and super negative. And I just decided, there's so much negativity going on in the world. There's so much bad stuff going on in the world. I decided to just change the tone, change my tone, and go with like a more uplifting and encouraging tone of voice. And that's kind of where things started to progress into like what you're seeing currently. Don't get me wrong. I still have my bad days, and I still like don't always think positive, but, it's just like little reminders for myself, to be honest. Like a lot of the stuff I make is just like a reminder for myself to keep going, to keep chasing my dreams, to keep shooting my shot, and to keep, doing whatever I need to do to progress in my career and progress as a human being.
yeah. I mean, I wanted to talk about it. Like, um, we all try to be like super positive online, and I believe that what you are doing is really great because, as you said, there's so much negativity, even in the design industry and everywhere. And like, I was asking myself when I was like creating everything about you, like, how is this person like positive all the time, you know. Like, where does he find all this inspiration and everything? And yeah, it's good to see that all these things come from your life. You know, it's not like imagined things or just made up projects or whatever. So it's really cool that it's something that comes really from you.
Sure. Yeah. It's, like I just said, like it's not always positive over here. Like I just went through, December was definitely rough for me in the sense of being inspired and, being burnt out. So I took all of December off for the most part. Like I had posts that were scheduled for December, but other than that, I was just like, I need to feel good again with myself. So I'm definitely back on the uptick of like feeling better and trying to push through. But a lot of people don't talk about that, and it's something that I want to talk more about. Is like, yeah, I do put a lot of like positive messaging out there. I wouldn't even say it's positive. I'd say it's more like uplifting and like more understanding. Um, so I just want to, you know, we're never all going to be good all the time. And that's just part of life. So I want to speak more on that in 2025.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, every one of us goes through bad times and the good times, and even if I don't know, there's a lot of people battling depression, especially after pandemic, and like it influenced us so much in so many different ways, and it's definitely something that needs to be talked about even more. So that's, I mean, like, I really appreciate the fact that you do it, you know, and there's not a lot of people who do it online. So bringing those messages uplifting, and it's definitely something that stands out. So, do you think that actually made a big change on your Instagram numbers, let's say followers, and maybe your path as a graphic designer?
Yeah, for sure. Like the moment I changed my tone of voice, and I mean, I started off with these how-to guys that were really funny during the pandemic, and it was just like something to keep me getting back to creativity and something to just like have fun with. So my first ever how-to guide was how to how to give yourself a bowl cut, and I literally like just like illustrated the process of giving yourself a bowl cut. Like find a bowl, put it on your head, shave your head. And it kind of continued on that path of just being like funny and cheeky. Um, Nothing like, nothing to talk about life, but just about activities. And then, I was getting a lot of feedback on there and like people were like having fun with them. But that one how-to guide of 2020, how to make it in 2020, when my tone of voice changed into that realm, um, a lot of, I'd noticed a lot of like reposts, a lot of follows, a lot of shares. But it wasn't just those posts, like a lot of stuff that got me a lot of attention as well was the moment I started sharing my process and the moment I started sharing tips and tricks, really like propelled my career. Cause I think in December of 2021, I think I was at around 20,000 or 30,000. And then I think Reels came to Instagram like at the end of that year, like 2021, and then into 2022. And the start of 2022, I just started posting process videos, had like the fonts I'm using, all that kind of fun stuff. And I saw my numbers literally jump in 4 months to 100K.
Okay, wow,
So
that's a huge thing.
yeah,
Yeah,
but I
that's
see,
that's
I,
really great.
I see a lot of, it's Instagram, like one post that you do that you think is amazing does terrible. And then the next one that like took 5 minutes to do does a million numbers, like a million views. And you can't really base it off of like that. But I just try to keep on putting out stuff that I like and I enjoy and makes me feel happy. And hopefully it
Yeah.
connects with people out there as well.
No, that's one of the greatest things. Like, uh, each of us, like creators and designers, we put so much time into designing certain posts, and then they perform so badly like you get, I don't know, from, as you said, a couple of hundred followers, you get like 50 likes and it performs so badly. And then something that you actually worked on a couple of minutes, it performs super good. And it's another message, just like, don't give up, it's not you, it's the algorithm or whatever Instagram does in the background. So yeah, I mean, even for me, like I am still in, well, not the lower numbers, but comparing to you, for example, it's still a lot less, but it's kind of good to know that those things happen to even like the most popular people. Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, that's cool. Yeah, how do you keep authenticity in your work? I mean, there's a lot of, I know you probably were one of the first people who started playing with these uplifting messages and with Reels as well. You used it at the beginning, so that's really good. How do you keep it authentic and not actually going further away from what you are?
Uh, I guess for my work, I'm just trying to get better. If you look at my illustrations from 2020 to today, I believe I've developed a lot more, and like my characters have just like become more alive in my eyes. So I think it's just a lot of just continue to work on your practice and continue to work on what you love doing. And I mean, sometimes always talking positive is a little tough, especially in like the posters, but yeah, like I'm trying to experiment as well, like 2025 might be a little bit different in terms of what I'm putting out there. I also want to get into more, posting on social media is great and you build a community and I love that. But I also want to bring my work into the real world, not just in print form. I want to bring it into plush form. I want to bring it into toys. I want to bring it more onto clothing. Um, I want to have an art show, which is like a big goal for 2025.
Oh,
And
that's
just
super
like
cool.
really build like a universe in an art gallery. So I think, trying to stay true to myself, but also like accomplishing goals that have been goals of mine for a long time.
Oh, that's really cool. So, um, do you already have some things planned for the 2025?
Yeah, I'm currently trying to work on a plush toy, and I'm also trying to work on some like vinyl toys as well.
Okay.
Uh, I don't want to say too much on that because, I like to keep things hidden until it's like there because I've been talking about vinyl toys with myself for probably 2 years, but I think 2025 is the year to just like go ahead, pay some money and just get it done. So it's like out of my system and I can like feel proud about a project and do something other than, like I said, that's just online. Like I really want to get more into the real world.
Yeah, I love the inflatable you actually designed, and
Yeah.
it's so huge, like with your image, you standing by, and it was so cool to see it. How did you feel like seeing something like that in real world?
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. I mean, it was like doing an inflatable has been a dream of mine for so long. Just because I follow artists like Cause, obviously, who's like the upper echelon of like that type of vibe. Um, so having that, walking into that space, seeing like kids interact with it, whether it was like them running into it or like taking photos beside it, was amazing. And just to see it at that scale, like an illustration that I created in my house on my computer and seeing it like 10 feet tall was an amazing feeling. I
Yeah,
want to do more of that stuff, That's like the kind of stuff that I want to get more into.
no, I definitely hope to see that in 2025 for you. I mean, yesterday in one of your stories, you mentioned that there's a lot of coming up. So I really hope that it goes all well. And I know how time consuming it can be to actually put things from digital to the real world. And I've been working on some of my own things as well. And it takes so much time and so much courage to actually like put it out and to be completely satisfied with the outcome. So I get that part.
For sure.
Yeah. Do you have any, I don't know, rituals or habits that keep you up? Like when you are not motivated to work, what keeps you going and what keeps you like, okay, I really have to go and sit, and what keeps you up?
Yeah, yeah. Like I mean, a lot of the work that I do right now is sorry is like personal stuff. So when I'm not in a project, it's tough to continue to keep myself motivated to just be like, okay, this is going to get me projects in the future. This is going to do this. This is going to do that. Um, and I can't say I'm the best at it, you know, like I just said, all of December, I really did nothing. I chilled. I hung out with family. I hung out with friends. And I think that's part of it though, is like, you know, being able to hang out with your friends, hang out with family, and like reconnect with like the people that matter to you. Um, and then come back to the computer with like a clear mind and like a vision. But sometimes, like, you know, when I'm in a project, I just get on my computer and try and create something for myself. And hopefully that will spark some energy to work on client work.
Okay, no, that's good. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it happens to me as well. Like I try to take like 2 times a year, like a bit longer vacation, just not even turn on the computer. Usually during the summer, I have family coming over and there's a lot of us. We go to the beach and everything and just like relaxing and taking time for yourself, like to be in the real world and not just like looking at the screen and yeah.
Yeah. Instagram can consume you, you know?
Yeah,
I have to do
absolutely.
better
Yeah.
at it. I have to do better at it because looking at the numbers and all that kind of stuff is like definitely something that is a lot of focus for some people. And I mean, it's focus for myself as well because to get clients, I mean, for me, I feel like I need good numbers and a good community. So I want to continue to nurture that, but I want to do it in a different way. You know, I want to bring community into the real world versus just online.
Oh, that's yeah. I mean, that's what worked even for me. So I get it absolutely. Do you have any talks, conferences planned for 2025? Where can people meet you this year?
Yeah, I don't have anything planned right now. I mean, it's only January 7th,
Yeah.
but I do want to do some workshops for sure. I would love to teach some more. Like I did a couple workshops last year, one in person and one online. I did my first ever talk last year, which was amazing, and I would love to give more of those to, you know, I did it in Toronto, but to do that elsewhere would be amazing as well. Maybe Adobe Max.
Yeah.
And um but yeah, I don't have anything scheduled yet. I possibly might work on a course,
Okay.
just to make it easily accessible for everyone versus just like people in Toronto or like 30 people online. Just something that like lives there forever. And then if you want to do a in-person one, then I can figure that out
Yeah.
as well.
Oh, that's super cool. And how did you like Porto? Portugal?
Porto, yeah, Porto was sick. I've actually been to Portugal before. I went to Lisbon,
Okay.
Periceta, and then I went to Portugal or Porto this year, and it was great. I stayed with a company called Outsite, and it was yeah, they have a amazing space there. It was for like some content creation project, and I'm actually working with them again this year, so stay tuned for some fun stuff with them.
No, that's super good. Yeah. No, I love Porto as well. I've been there with some friends, well, a while ago now, before pandemic and everything, but it was really beautiful and definitely different kind of a vibe. And yeah, I loved it.
That's
Okay.
awesome. Yeah. Porto's sweet, man. It was rainy. I went in the fall, so it wasn't like sunny and all that, but it was still a beautiful city. And you know, we walked across that bridge that has like the
Yeah.
trains on it, the tram on it, and that was a little frightening when you get into the middle.
Well, it's quite high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I was there like end of August, beginning of September. So it was really good time. We even went to the beach. It was a bit too windy, like Portugal is always a bit windy, but it was cool. Yeah. And Porto is really beautiful city and
Yeah.
quite affordable, I would say, for
Yeah. No, for
people
sure.
traveling to Europe. And yeah, it's quite good. So that's definitely a beautiful place to get some inspiration. And yeah. Okay, let me see. I have some questions. I've been looking over here.
No
So
worries.
yeah. Do you have any mentors or role models online or in real life that you really look up to?
I mean, one of my favorite artists is, I mean, obviously Cause is a big one, especially for like the inflatables and the toys and all that kind of stuff. But there's this guy, Jeff McFetridge, and he's, yeah, he's one of my favorite artists. It's like nothing like my style, but he did like work for Pepsi back in the day. He's on a documentary called Beautiful Losers, which is like probably the greatest documentary about art I've ever watched. It's about like a collective from, I think from like all over the US, and they just started putting out their work, and they were tagging and graffiti and also like street art and like doing stuff in Tokyo, and it's an amazing documentary. I definitely recommend it to everyone there. Everyone that's watching this, to get inspired. But yeah, Jeff McFetridge, and then who else? Um, I can't think off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I love movies too. So like Denis Villeneuve is amazing. I think that's how you say his name. I just watched
I think
Arrival.
so.
I,
Yeah.
I just watched Arrival the other day, and I was like, "Damn, this movie's so good."
Oh, it's so, so good. Yeah. It's one of the best sci-fi movies. Like,
Ah, it's incredible.
definitely. Yeah, yeah. I mean, he's amazing. I mean, Dune is really good. I haven't watched the second part, but Arrival is like a different level, definitely.
Yeah, it's wild. I love it.
Yeah, no, that's super cool. There's so many things. You mentioned not working with Pepsi, and the other side you worked with Red Bull, with Nike, Klarna, with some really big clients. How was that experience for you?
Yeah, I mean, they've been honestly a lot of the clients that I've worked with, especially the big ones, have been pretty great. Um, Really easy to work with, and they've come to me for the style that I work in, so it's delivering on just like making cute stuff for them. So working with Adidas was really great. Nike was one of the first ones that I worked on back in 2020, and I just like created 5 illustrations for them, which was for Instagram. You can actually like type in. I think if you type in Nike Play Inside, all like Nike Play Inside it, and you scroll down a little bit, you'll see my illustrations as GIFs.
Okay.
Um, and then I worked with Milk Up during the pandemic. They were doing a like post to pay activation. So all my illustrations were in there. You could get pins, keychains, maybe not keychains, pins, t-shirts, like heat presses. And just like the whole space had my artwork on the wall, which was really rad. But everything, yeah, those projects were amazing. I'd love to work with big clients, to continue to work with big clients and continue to put my ideas out there. So I'm just waiting for those to come my way. I think I'm going to start reaching out to people. It's my year of
Yeah, I mean,
reaching out.
yeah, yeah. Why not? I reach out to you, so and you said yes
Yeah.
from the first second, and I was like, man, this is so good. Like, yeah, I mean, it was. I started the pod. I've been in typography business for quite some time now, and that pod is going really well. And then I started the podcast, like almost accidentally, like these live sessions and other parts. And I was like reaching out to some really like popular people, and I was like, I don't really have the following for the podcast, and it's something new. People probably never heard of it, and almost everyone said yes. So yeah, I definitely encourage you to like go for it and
Yeah.
present it out. I was amazed. I mean, you expect like the big guys like having some kind of barrier and like not responding right away. And I had a different experience. It was so good. Like last year, I talked with some of the best people in the industry. You are in the graphic design and that part of illustration, and it's amazing. You know, everyone knows you not by your name and surname, but as an Adam the Illustrator. It was so fun. Like I said it before, like one of the comments on your post was like, "Oh, his surname is not the Illustrator." Like who would say? And it was so. And then like searching online, and I would like Adam Bosley, and then I would get like a writer or a doctor from. So it was really, yeah, it was interesting to find things about you, you know, to prepare myself. So yeah. Are there any misconceptions or I don't know, like things that you would like to break, like some myths about graphic design or social media or whatever you are facing with these days that you would like to debunk once and for all somehow?
Okay, so I think for debunking graphic design, one thing that always scared me when I was starting is like I need to know every tool. You go into school and what it was like learning every tool. What does this do? What does that do? What does this do? What does that do? I think it's good to know them, but like honestly, I probably use 10 tools. Like every day I use 10, the most like my favorite tools that I use are 10. And then based on those 10 tools, I'm like, okay, how do I speed up this process? And then that's when I'll start learning other tools, like how do I do this? How can this be quicker? And that's when I started using the shape builder tool to like delete lines. I used to color in my illustrations with my brush tool and then fill that in with like things don't need to be done like the best way. I think as long as you're getting ideas out there, the process and like speeding up your process and getting better with cleaning up your lines and all that will follow, So I think it's more put the work out there, practice, keep working, keep grinding. I don't want to say keep grinding. No, keep working and, like get your ideas out there. And then, while you're working in these programs, whether you're working with a mouse or, I use the Wacom tablet. It took me probably 5 days to get used to the Wacom tablet, and it's like something that's so scary for people. But once you get used to it, literally all I did on the Wacom tablet when I first got it was just go like this, just scribble lines, just to see how it worked. How did it interact with the screen? Like I had no idea what this tool was, 12 years ago. I think it's just like, yeah, don't be afraid of trying something new. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Instagram. Let's go to Instagram. Graphic design, I don't think you need to know every tool. I think you can learn 10 to 15 and you can get by. Instagram and social media, you need to put yourself out there. One of the scariest things for me was speaking. Like I have a list and I understand that. And it was something that like I got made fun of growing up and people would always like, even still to this day, people will like do a fake list thing to me. And I'm just like, fuck, this sucks. But like, it is what it is. But I don't let it hold me back anymore. The moment I picked up the mic and started talking into the mic, the collaborations just started soaring. So once you get over those fears, I think you're unstoppable. And one of my biggest fears was speaking in public because of, like things that have held me back from the past. And I did that Adobe Create now, and it was the first time I spoke in front of 450 people. And I literally talked about my life and design, and it was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. But I remember going to hang out with my friends like a day later, and I felt on top of the world. Like it's a feeling that like I know probably won't come back, but it was so liberating to just like get over something that held me back for so long. So if you can, face your fears, if getting in front of the camera is your fear, I'd say just do it. And I promise you it'll help you become a better person, get bigger on social media, whatever you needed to do, like if speaking in public scares you, try and, sign up for something that you're going to speak in front of people, do a
Yeah.
comedy thing,
So,
or, you gotta throw yourself out there. And I obviously like practice really hard for it, but I, and I stumbled over my words here and there, but it was something that was one of the most fulfilling things of 2024 was getting over that fear of public speaking.
no, that's an amazing story. I mean, I definitely understand that, like, fear of speaking and showing up in front of other people. My account was kind of a faceless account, for years. I've never showed my face on Instagram, never went live, never did reels or anything. And so doing the first live on Instagram was like, at the same time so liberating, as you said, and at the same time I was like all the time questioning myself, oh my god, am I doing it right, what am I doing, but when it ended I felt so good about it, and even if it's a fear that holds you back, like, just do it. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Absolutely.
So yeah, I mean, I definitely relate to that, and that's a really, really good story. As someone, there's a lot of people, that define success by the numbers on social media, or number of likes or whatever. How would you define success for yourself?
Um, how would I define success for myself? I think, I don't know, being able to accomplish the goals that I want to accomplish, right? Um, I've been wanting to throw an art show since 2011. I graduated university in 2011, and that year, me and my friend Donovan put on an art show together. And I haven't done one since because I didn't really have a style, right? So I didn't really know what to do, but it was something that I was always intrigued by. I loved putting on like an activation where you come in and it's like an experience. It's not just an art show. So now that I have a style, I want to really like put an activation together where it's like my characters and you're interacting with this world that I created. So success to me is just accomplishing the goals that you want to accomplish. Some people might want to become a better cook at home, go read some recipes and continue to practice and manage I'm sure you'll become a better cook. If you want to grow your social media account, get out there and put yourself out there. And I'm sure, we've all seen it. Like, we've seen people grow from this number to that number, and it's on social media every day of this and that. And I really believe that accomplishing everyone has a different goal. So whatever those goals are, I think if you just put in a little bit you put in that work and you put in that focus, and you will absolutely get there. Like I said, I didn't get a graphic design job until 2019. After that, I was like, what do I want to do? And I put all my focus into design and illustration. And, was it luck of timing? Possibly, with like reels popping off at the time that it was,
Yeah.
but I think you have to put yourself in the right position at the right time to get those opportunities. And, I'm happy with where I'm at, but I still have so many more goals to accomplish that I'm like super excited for. And like, I would love to teach. I know design and social media is a big thing and a great platform to reach out and to like get yourself out there. So I'm so happy with where I'm at on there. But, I want to affect people in other ways than just giving them tips and tricks. Like,
Yeah.
I want to inspire people. I want to like let them know, like, it's, I have this amount of followers, but like I still have terrible days. I still get burnt out, and I think every artist gets burnt out, and every artist is tired, and every artist is not super happy with having to film their process, but we do it because we know the opportunities that it could bring.
Yeah, absolutely agree with that. Yeah, I mean, just put yourself out there and do bit by bit. It doesn't have to be like I'm going to do all of it in a week, but just a tiny bit by bit, and you will get there. That's really good.
Absolutely.
Um, there are, well, I have a couple of more questions. You mentioned that you found your style, well, almost after COVID. And what's advice you would give to new designers or even designers that are actually longer in the business, how to find their style? Like you are like really in a niche and it's really good. And when you see a design, you know it's yours. And when I see something, I know if you made it. So how do you actually approach graphic design and how do you put yourself in a field where everyone can actually recognize it's your work?
I think it just takes time, and everyone's different. I feel like some people might be able to find their style super early on, but I think the main thing is practicing and trying different things out, see what works for you and like try and make it something that feels like you. When I was starting in, let's just say after university, I was just posting illustrations that I thought were funny and cute. And, I did basketball characters. I lost Adobe Illustrator on my computer, so I started working on this other program that was just like a hand-drawn program, and I was using my mouse, and I was just like, it was so jagged, but I was just creating. I was creating with whatever I had because I wanted to create. And during those moments, like I still take tips that I used from way back then on how to shadow my characters now. So I think it's just like developing the skills. And as those skills come together, and the time gets put in of, oh, I want to try and make that. Let me try and make this. I'm gonna try and do this. And then eventually I think a style will find itself, like I think there was a big moment for me in 2020 where I had like I guess like an aha moment. And I was like, oh shoot, like I found my style. And like I said before, in 2020, if you look at my work from 2020 to 2024, it's completely different. Like it looks nothing like you probably wouldn't think, oh, Adam the Illustrator designed that. If I posted something today, people would be like, wait, who did that? And then I post my work today. So it's all about just like refining and like, who knows where I'm going to be in the next 3 or 4 years. I might be doing something completely different. I might not be posting cute characters. Like, I don't know. Or like
Yeah, you
the
never
way they're
know.
interacting with things are going to be different as well. So I think it's just growing and finding that style is not, I don't think it's an easy process. It's not just like, this is my style, like
Yeah, yeah,
it
it
takes time
takes
to
time.
develop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a great answer. Like, I don't know if people want that to be the answer, but that's how it worked for me. And I can only tell things about my experiences.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, people usually, I mean, everyone nowadays is kind of looking for one trick that will actually propel you and make you like main in the industry. But I also believe that you just need to put out work and you just need to improve on what you already have and show it to the people. Like just post it out there, even if you're scared of the feedback. And even a bad feedback will actually help you grow and help you improve. So, yeah, I definitely agree that it doesn't come overnight and that you really need to work bit by bit.
Hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. There's one other project you did that's not online, and it's really interesting, and I found it really cool. Nothing but nets. Um, Tell us about it. How
Yeah.
did you come to the idea? How did it work? And yeah.
So Nothing But Net was came just based off me liking basketball. To clear my mind, I would ride my bike to the basketball court and I would go shoot baskets for like 20 minutes to a half an hour, get outside, get a little sweat, and then come back home and go to work. Um, so I ride a bike in the city. And while I'm riding my bike in the city, I'm riding past courts and I'm like, damn, there's no mesh on these nets. And I'm just like, it's literally the simplest idea. I'm like, I don't know about you, but I mean, I don't know if you play basketball or anyone listening plays basketball, but to shoot basketballs on a net that has no mesh
Yeah.
is probably the worst thing in the world. Like it literally I will not play basketball if there's no mesh on there type vibe. Like I'd rather ride my bike back home and do something else. So I just came up with this idea during COVID of like, all right, I'm going to buy some basketball meshes and I'm going to replace some nets. I grabbed my friend Matthew M to take some photos, and we went out one day and I think I replaced 20 to 25 basketball nets
Oh,
in downtown Toronto. And I'm from Scarborough, which is like, I don't know, 20 minutes, 25 minutes from downtown Toronto. So I went to Scarborough and I replaced some near my community as well. Reebok found out about that, and I obviously like posted it on my social media account because I was just like posting everything. And Reebok found out about it, and the next year we did a collab where they sponsored me to go replace 150 basketball nets in Toronto.
oh wow.
So we put together a call to action, or maybe not. I don't know if it's a call to action, but we put together a post that was just asking people like, where should we replace basketball nets? And people told us. We had an Excel sheet together. So whether they commented on the Reebok post or my post, we put this in an Excel spreadsheet, and I kind of mapped it out to be like, okay, this is all the Scarborough course, this is north of Toronto course, this is the west of Toronto course, and this is downtown Toronto. And while I was working, this was during 2021, my busiest time of the year. While I was working, I'd carve out a day to go replace 20 basketball nets, and I would have my list. I would borrow my parents' car, and I would drive to wherever I was going with a ladder, go replace basketball nets. And that was the idea. And, unfortunately, 2022 and 2023 really popped off for me in terms of illustrating and like work and content and that. So I haven't been able to continue it, but for those 2 years, it was just like, yeah, it was just like fun way to give back to the community in like a way that I wanted to, like in
Yeah, no,
on
it's
the
amazing.
terms that I want to go to. So like when a kid goes out to play basketball, there's a basketball mesh on that net.
No, that's a super cool story. Yeah, I mean, like, it's not just about the online world, and then you do something good, and that's definitely amazing.
I also
I'm glad. Yeah,
on that project, I also got to work with one of my favorite designers. His name is I don't know how to say it, but it's like Mr. P. Homer, and I think he's from the
okay.
UK. And I've been wanting to work with that dude forever, and nothing but net came. I had some funds from Reebok, and I actually got him to design the little logo is not from me, it's from him. And
No,
I was super, super stoked to work with that dude on that project. So just like involving design with basketball as well was super fun.
yeah. I mean, it reminds me like my last conversation here was with Elliot J. Stocks, and he just said that like do things that are not just work, like do side projects, and you never know where it will lead you. So this is kind of a similar
Yeah.
story. You collaborated with a great designer and Reebok as well. So yeah, that's a really good story. I'm glad we are ending with that one because it's quite on a high note, but I do have another question for you. I've asked it of the people who I've talked before, and if you could give just one advice to the people, to the designers, what would it be? Just one thing, like,
One advice. Damn. I feel like this is the toughest one for everyone, right?
yeah, yeah.
um, I mean, I think my Instagram is filled with little tidbits of advice, but I think all I'm going to say is keep chasing your dreams. Like things might not go the way that you want to go, and things might take longer than the person that you see online. But if you continue at it and you continue to go, like, I think this is how I ended my Adobe Create Now talk. It was just like a photo of my illustration in 2020 and a photo of my illustration in 2024. And all I said was like, just, yeah, keep chasing your dreams. Don't stop, because in 4 years, like my work has progressed so much. So I'm excited to see what the next 4 years brings, and then the next 4 years after that. And if you continue to work at it, you will absolutely get better at what you do, whether it's cooking, photography, graphic design, finance, like wherever you're coming from, if you put in work and you continue to do it, you will get better. If you want to be a better cook, cook every single day, and in a year you will get better. If you want to learn how to surf, surf every day, and I guarantee you will get better. It's something that I want to do. Something that's so
Okay.
far out of design is like, I am awful at surfing, but I want to be better. And
Okay.
I like have this thing in the back of my head. I'm getting older, so I'm like, I want to go somewhere for a year, work as a freelance illustrator and designer, content creator, but I want to like put in the work to like be able to like surf a wave properly. And that's like something that's in the back of my head forever. And I feel like, based off of what I've done with illustration and, if I want to get into 3D, if I actually put in that work, I will absolutely get better at it. I Blender looks impossible right now, but if I work in that program every day for an hour or two, in a year I'll be able to do whatever. I feel like I'll be able to do whatever I need to do, and probably less than a year. It's like that whole
Yeah.
10,000 hour thing.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
continue to put in those hours, you will get better at it.
That's that's completely true. I would like advice for you. I've connected to Instagram to a lot of people, and there's one guy that actually went to Australia first to because of surfing, and then he actually went to Bali. He's now in Bali. I can forward you his Instagram, and yeah, he's doing like freelance work, graphic design as well. So yeah, maybe he has some cool advices about that part. I don't surf, so I'm not the best person to give advices, but he does, and yeah, so maybe he has some cool ideas for you.
I would
Um,
absolutely love that.
yeah, I mean, you never know. Maybe next time we talk, you will be on Bali surfing most of your
I
time.
hope so. I hope so.
Yeah. No, I had a lot of fun today. I want to thank you once again, like for accepting the invite and for joining me today. There's a lot of people, who are your followers and who have joined today, and I'm sure they appreciated the wisdom you shared with all of us. So thank you once again, and
I
I will
have
definitely be
I have a question
okay.
though. Do you think we should? I know there's not that many people in here, but should we like ask people if they want to ask a question or not? I know that there was questions while we were talking, but if they're still in
Yeah,
here,
yeah, of course. I mean, if someone has a question, I will go up. People have talked about a lot of like improving and kind of well, there's. I will not ask this question. I forgot one, but I will keep it for the next time. They've talked about copying other designers and how does that work to help you improve your work. So yeah, I mean, if anyone has a question, we are definitely open. There's still time. I am in no rush. I don't know about you, but
yeah,
so
I'm good for another 10, 15 minutes, so I can ask them. How do you find
yeah,
your first clients as a freelancer? Um,
yeah, that's
I think a lot of it is just like putting yourself out there, and if you want to work with someone, a lot of people reach out to them as well. So if you have your portfolio together, you have your Instagram that's like doing well, or you have your work on there, don't hesitate to reach out to those clients. I mean, I recently worked with Wacom, and I just reached out to them. I sent them a DM and I was just like, hey, I love your product. I haven't done work with this before. I I would love to showcase like how I use the Wacom tablet to my followers. Do you
okay.
need to have a pro do you need to have a proposition for a project beforehand? Um, I don't think you need to. I think your portfolio will speak for itself. But I mean, I'll say this: I used to apply to the way I used to apply to jobs is I would give my resume, I would give my portfolio, and if it was someone that I really wanted to work with, I would design a mini deck for them, 3 or 4 slides. And if it was a social media job, back in the day, it was all about layout. So I would mock up what their layout would look like if I was in charge of their portfolio or their page. And I would design a couple t-shirts for them. And I would just like talk about strategy and stuff like that. So if you're really interested in someone, I would put a mini deck together to just show them how you can work in their style and what you can bring to the team. That's not just like, here's what I've done in the past. Here's my portfolio of other work. But if you can show work that you would do for them, I think that will help give you a better idea.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. When you're like applying for different jobs, it's definitely important to reach out to people. As you said, your experience with Wacom and my experience with other designers, like just go out there and I mean, you never know. People have a lot of open positions and different things. So yeah, reaching out is definitely a good advice.
Is there a need for a website as indie designer? I think so. It's a nice way to a little portfolio is a nice way to just like put all your work in one space so people can find it. Um, that being said, I know I've been reached out to on Instagram 95% of the time, or leads have come through Instagram. So if you want to put your portfolio on Instagram as well, I think it's a great place to put it because it helps. But I still have a portfolio. I haven't updated in a little while, and it's something that I do want to do, but I think a portfolio is still essential for most people.
Okay, there's another question. Did you start out as a freelancer or in a company?
I started off at a company for a small company called Hook in 2019. I got laid off in 2020. I went on EI, which is like unemployment insurance in Canada. And I started, I was applying for jobs and it was COVID. Nothing was happening. So I just started illustrating. And through the connections that I had, I got a couple gigs that obviously didn't pay for rent or allow me to stop looking for jobs. But in 2021, by just like putting out work, I was putting out work maybe every other day, maybe 2, 3 times a week on Instagram. And just putting out that work allowed me to like grow a following. And in 2021, I got my first big job of like, I think it was, I don't know if we should say numbers, but I'll say it. It was like 10,000 USD for a 3-month project. It was 12 illustrations and it was due, 4 were due in January, 4 in March, or 4 in February, 4 in March. And I made 10,000 off that. And then the ball kind of started rolling from there. And thankfully I was paying cheap rent at the time. So I was able to afford rent and all those things. But a lot of my work came through Instagram.
Okay, that's good to know. Yeah. There's also a question: how do you deal with metrics with the brands? Like every time she proposed Florencia to a brand that was all about ROI and how many people tap on the link. How do you do it?
I know that's like honestly my least favorite thing too, because like I feel like when you put the ad tab on there on a post, it like immediately drops your post down to a certain level. Like I've had maybe 1 or 2 posts that have popped off that were sponsored, but aside from that, like they've done probably the worst that any of my content has done. And I don't think it's, like getting paid for those things. I know the client wants it to be all about the ROI, but at the end of the day, you're still putting in the hours and the work to get something put out there and on your page. And if they want to pay you based on ROI, I would say don't work with that client because I don't know, it doesn't really work for me. I've never really had someone ask me about that, but what about you? Have you had clients like that ask you about?
Well, I didn't have clients, but I had some kind of like sponsorships with other companies. And what you mentioned, like whenever you post the content like that, even though you put in the hours for a reel or for a post or whatever, those posts would always like be the worst post in a month, by the likes and by the sharing. And so I definitely agree with that. It's not really about because you can get maybe sometimes like 50 likes on a post in a day, but then in a couple of months, that post will actually grow and someone will discover it and share it. So yeah, I definitely agree with you that it's not the best thing to work if they are specifically looking at that aspect.
Also, I'll say if you follow creatives that are doing ads, I highly recommend liking, saving, and commenting on those ads because it does help. You know,
Okay.
like a lot of people kind of see it and skip it, but if you help, if you help us, we help you. And
Yeah.
when I see my friends posting ads, I always try and comment to just like, hopefully it'll help, tell the
Yeah.
algorithm, oh, people are engaging, people are doing this. So when it is an ad, I try my best to even like it even more because I know it's having a harder. I feel like they say it doesn't, but I feel like it's having a harder time getting the numbers that we usually see.
Yeah, I mean, it happens to me all the time. Like, whenever it's like a sponsored post, it always like has low numbers. And I mean, whatever I do, so I definitely see those posts reaching like a lot less people. So yeah, it's a good idea to comment and to engage and to actually, if people paid for it and got paid. So yeah, why not?
Someone said, "Can we see it?" I think that's talking about the deck. If you just DM me and I'll try and find it and I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
It's literally like it's like a 4 or 5 page thing that I did for a company that I tried to apply for. So I'll try and find it in my Google Docs and I'll send it. Walking from Uganda, that's so cool. Thank you for
No,
joining
yeah.
in.
Yeah, there's people like from all over the world, and that's amazing thing about social media. There's a lot of negative aspects of the life and how Instagram and other platforms can actually like consume your life, but it's actually really great to connect with people. So yeah. There was one question about, well, more of a comment, I would say, like, I cannot find it right now. Yeah, someone was commenting, asking about how actually to get those jobs. She has a good portfolio, but she doesn't have like that many real projects, and most of them are passion projects. There's a lot of accounts on Instagram right now that like brand briefs and similar things. So do you have a view on that? Like, are you up for it? Like, do you advise people to do them or not, or how would you do it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such a tricky game, right? Like, I don't think there's one straight answer for this of like do this, don't do that. But from what I've seen on social media, stuff that's popping off is people redesigning logos. Showing how they redesign a logo. Um, for me, it was always just like I wanted to illustrate the things that I liked. So, when I first started, when I was posting a lot of stuff back in 2012, it was like I was literally just drawing basketball players in like the style that I was working in. And I was drawing Nike shoes and this shoe and that shoe. So it was doing that, but to get jobs, like I don't think there's like a specific answer to be like, if you do this, this, and this, you will get a job. I think it's just like, getting your portfolio to like a really good spot and trying to find a way to stand out to the recruiter. Whoever's recruiting is like, I think that's why when I applied to jobs that I actually wanted, I wasn't just sending in a resume and a portfolio. I was going that extra mile to be like, yo, this is what I can do for you. And this is something that I think, this is how I would align my work with your brand guidelines.
Yeah, I mean that's a good advice. Yeah, and that's definitely. And when it comes to passion projects, I would also say like I'm not against them. I actually had a couple of those briefs in my account as well, like a year and a half ago, and people really do good stuff. But I would say that sometimes even like doing stuff for free for your friends, for family, for people like designing a logo or something that will help someone and actually get you a good work and good portfolio, and that will improve it, is also a good way to, like get yourself out there, get a job. I mean, it's free, but it will definitely get you something
Hmm.
in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, I, from 2011 to 2019, I worked in the restaurant industry. So I was bartending, and on my spare time, I would do design work, and it wasn't really, like I said, it wasn't paying bills. It wasn't allowing me to quit the job that I was doing, but I would continue to just like put that work in to hopefully get better and eventually that opportunity came and presented itself, and I applied for a job in 2019 and I got it, and I was so happy to like leave the bar industry behind. But it took a long time for me to get there. It took a long time, and I don't want to like intimidate anyone, but there's like a lot of great designers out there. So it's like, how do you stand out? When you go into an interview, it's like, it's not about just the conversation. I think you need to bring stuff. I feel like you need to bring stuff with you, like
That's
something that I always got told is like, bring something with you, whether it's like a customized resume or it's like I don't know, something that they can keep, whether it's like stickers, something that will just like allow you to like, or your portfolio is designed in a really cool way, and it's like you bring it into the real world and it like showcases your work in a different way than someone else is going to showcase their work. Maybe you're bringing it in a briefcase, or I don't know, like there's like so many different ideas. But I think to get jobs, you really need to like, it's not about, I don't think it's about design. I think it's about how do you stand out.
Yeah, yeah. Just going the extra mile, like with something that they will actually remember you from the hundreds of people that they actually interviewed. Yeah,
Welcome
yeah,
from
that's definitely
the
good.
welcome Philippines. What's up?
Yeah, Brazil
Zico.
as well. Yeah,
Brazil, Finland. That's so rad. We
yeah,
we're worldwide right now.
yeah. That's cool. Um, how did you manage to keep going with working with free submission in the stage? Oh, I guess this one's for you. I have no subscriptions, so submissions. So,
With free submission, is that just like um I've never worked for free other than for friends, but
yeah,
um a lot of the stuff that I like, if you want to take on those, I don't know what they're called, like almost like design challenge projects, I think they're helpful, and it doesn't even need to be a design challenge. If you see something on the street that you think is poorly designed, take a photo, redesign it, and talk about your process of how you redesigned it, and just try and make it look better than it did. And if
yeah,
it's for
yeah,
and if it's for bigger clients, continue to do that and see if it helps. I'm designer in Pakistan, Greece. What's up?
yeah.
Bulgaria, the Netherlands.
Bulgaria,
That's so
Netherlands.
rad.
Yeah, we are all over. Yeah, it's so cool. Oh, okay, this is a good one. Did you have an imposter syndrome ever?
I I have imposter syndrome every single day. I still do, like it, even having this conversation, it's like I'm just talking about the only thing you can do is talk about your experiences, and that's all I can do. But yeah, like there is, I'm on the internet as well. I view Instagram, I view Pinterest, I view all these other websites and see amazing designers and amazing illustrators, and obviously I'm comparing myself to them, and like it's tough, but I continue to just like push my vision, and if it connects with people, it connects with people. But I think the main thing is like it connects with me, and that's all that really matters, and it makes me feel good.
That's a really good thing, and I'm really glad people asked it because even the best designers and best in the field out there, every one of us, like we ask ourselves, is this really good? And we see those. I mean, I'm in the font industry, and there's so many good designers out there, like putting out fonts that are super cool every day. And then you see, oh my God, like, am I going to get there? Like, so it definitely happens even to the big people. So like, don't be afraid of it. You just put the work out there and do the extra thing, and it definitely will be better.
Absolutely. Also, what's up, Bianca and Saba?
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
No, I mean,
I guess should we wrap it up though? I feel like.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
it's
also, if
more or less.
anyone has any questions and wants to ask more questions, like feel free to DM me. I'm I'm always open to answering questions.
Yeah, Adam was really quick to answer, so I'm
I try.
definitely yeah. I mean, I will also be posting this as a reel a bit later when I prepare the cover and everything because I need to edit things so people can comment on here as well, and we'll be sure to answer. I want to thank you once again for like joining me and for doing the extra thing today with all the questions and the answers. And that really means a lot to me. And thank you for being here today. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk to you and for sharing the things you learned and for actually educating people as well about like how to do things, how to improve, and the importance of going the extra mile every day.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for tuning in from all over the world. I really appreciate it. And like I said, if you have any questions, feel free to DM me.
yeah. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And I will definitely be sure to post this really very, very quickly. Thank you,
Okay.
guys, and chat
See you.
soon. Bye bye.